The disappearance of a young woman results in one of the North Yorkshire Police's most high-profile and expensive cases. This is the disappearance of Claudia Lawrence. Let's step into the cold. It isn't unusual to see Dr. John Sentamu in the northern city of York, England. He's the Archbishop of York and a well-known face in the city. Given his role, he's most associated with York Minster. But on one particular occasion, the Archbishop of York took to the streets, handing out leaflets regarding the disappearance of a 35-year-old resident of York. The woman featured on the leaflets was Claudia Elizabeth Lawrence. Claudia was born on the 27th of February 1974 in Malton, North Yorkshire. She has been described as funny and outgoing. Claudia has a sister called Ali, and her parents, who are divorced, are called Peter and Joan. One thing in particular stands out about Claudia. She has been missing for 8 years. At first, there seemed to be nothing unusual about the 18th of March 2009. Claudia had finished work as a chef that day at 2 p.m. With her car, a Vauxhall Corsa, being repaired at a garage, Claudia began to walk to her home on Melrose Gate, Haworth, from her place of work at the Roger Kirk Centre, a part of Goodricke College at the University of York. She was captured on CCTV as she walked home. When a colleague pulled up beside her and offered her a lift home, Claudia accepted the ride. That evening, Claudia spoke to her mother by phone and made plans to spend Mother's Day with her. After that, Claudia sent a text to a friend at 8:23 p.m. This was the last time anyone heard from her. The last text Claudia received came from a bar worker in CYPRUS at 9:12 p.m. When Claudia failed to meet a friend at a local pub called the NAGS Head, her friend contacted Claudia's father to let him know. When she failed to show up for work the next morning, Peter reported Claudia missing to the North Yorkshire Police. Nothing in Claudia's home suggested Claudia had suffered from a violent attack. The internet and social media wouldn't provide the police with any clues, as Claudia didn't own a computer, didn't access the internet via her phone, and she wasn't on social media. Claudia's bed had been made and breakfast pots were in the sink. Police wondered if Claudia had dyed someone else's hair after finishing work, as used hair dye products were found. However, it's important to note that while the first photos the police released of Claudia show her with blonde hair, Claudia's mother, Joan, has said that these photos were misleading, as her daughter had brown hair when she vanished. The dye in this image looks to be brown, so it's possible that the hair Claudia was dyeing was her own. Money in Claudia's passport and bank cards were found in her home, but her mobile phone, a silver Samsung D900, and her blue Carrymore rucksack, which contained her chef whites, were missing. Her rucksack and phone have never been found. The police believe she had left for work. Claudia's disappearance became extremely high profile, and by the 1-week anniversary, the police had spent £600,000. Peter Lawrence appeared on the BBC One programme Missing Live to raise awareness about his daughter's disappearance. 6 civilian search and rescue teams, including the Scarborough and Rydale Mountain Rescue Teams, helped police search land near the University of York. Search and rescue dogs were also used. 40 volunteers helped Peter Lawrence post leaflets through every door along the route from Claudia's home to her place of work. On the 16th of April, the police asked for help in identifying a man and a woman who were seen arguing near a car early on the morning after Claudia went missing. Her father didn't recognise the description of the woman the police gave him. Whether or not this is the same man and woman reported in other sightings is unclear. A man and a woman were seen walking near the university between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. on the 17th and 19th of March. The man was wearing a dark hooded top with the hood up and was smoking a cigarette with his left hand. A man and a woman were also seen on Melrose Gate Bridge at 5:35 a.m. on the 19th of March. Help was also asked for with regards to other sightings. A Ford Focus was seen on CCTV outside Claudia's home the day she vanished. A man was seen outside her home at 6:45 a.m. on the 19th of March. He was described as being in his 50s, with grey mid-length hair, and was wearing a 3/4 length sandy-coloured Mac. Days before Claudia disappeared, a man driving a rusty white van was seen trying to talk to women on the route Claudia took to work in the Melrose Gate area. By the 5-week mark, the investigation had grown even bigger. Peter and Joan each left a voicemail on Claudia's phone. Undergrowth on a York cycle track was searched, as were rivers and streams. Manhole covers were lifted. 270 properties, including the NAGS head, had been searched, along with 1,000 rooms at the University of York. The police had received 900 phone calls and had taken 868 statements from potential witnesses. But on the 24th of April, Detective Superintendent Ray Galloway, who was leading the investigation at the time, had an announcement to make. He said, "At the moment we have no proof of Claudia's death. However, 5 weeks on from her disappearance, we also have no proof of her life. The investigation is now being formally classified as one of suspected murder." But as the investigation grew, rumours regarding Claudia's love life began to swirl. Claudia's case was featured on Crime Watch in May 2009. This resulted in 60 phone calls, and many people picked up on the way Claudia's love life had been described. Mysterious and complex were the words used. By the time summer came along, the police had said that Claudia had been in many relationships, and that when she disappeared, she was in a secret, long-term, casual relationship with a man who was already in a serious relationship. 2 days before she vanished, she apparently spent the night with a different man and had mentioned to a colleague that she had been out until 4 or 5 a.m. with a boyfriend. It was soon reported that Claudia had been in at least 12 relationships over the 5 years prior to her disappearance. Some had been with married men, and the ex-wife of a boyfriend spoke out about how Claudia had destroyed her marriage. The police asked men who had been involved with Claudia to come forward. Some did. A friend, who is unnamed, claimed that Claudia had up to 40 secret lovers and targeted married men. While rumours are nothing concrete and have probably been exaggerated over time, the police maintain that Claudia kept some relationships secret from her family and friends. Claudia's relatives disagree with the rumours about Claudia's relationships. Peter Lawrence said, "What I read and what I hear is not the girl that I've known for 35 years. She was open about relationships. I've met most of the people that I know she's had relationships with. She's 35, she's single." Joan Lawrence has also spoken about how the tabloids have covered her daughter's case. She said, "Everything gets twisted, and all they've done is blacken her name, and I'm not happy about that at all. 90% that has been said about her isn't true." By the time the 6-month anniversary rolled around, 1,200 calls had been made to police hotlines. The charity Crime Stoppers increased the reward on offer to £10,000, an unusual move that was made due to the high level of interest in the case. 10,000 beer mats appealing for help were issued. And although the number of police officers investigating Claudia's disappearance had halved, the police took their investigation abroad. The last text Claudia received from a bar worker in Cyprus led to 4 officers travelling to the island. Despite investigating Claudia's disappearance as a possible murder, police said it was possible that Claudia was alive there. She'd holidayed there 5 times, with the last time being in October 2008. Claudia had planned to return in April 2009. The fact that her passport was found in her home meant that Claudia would have had to travel to the island by other means. Claudia knew several British people in Cyprus, and one of these people was in Britain on the 18th of March. Police wondered if Claudia had received job offers on the island, and the people they spoke to were treated as potential witnesses rather than suspects. Some of the men the authorities spoke to denied knowing Claudia. One man admitted to knowing her after the police visited him for the 3rd time. But the investigation became colder and colder. The authorities took the investigation to Ireland, but there is little information available on this. In early 2011, Crime Stoppers withdrew the reward on offer for the 2nd time. Rewards are offered over 3-month periods. The reward in Claudia's case was first issued in April 2009 and renewed every quarter until September 2010, when it was first stopped. After the police requested the reward be made available again, the reward was offered between October 2010 and January 2011. Crime Stoppers said they decided not to renew the reward again because, after giving Claudia's case as much help as they could, they needed to help others. With the investigation stalling, the only possible lead seemed to be coming from a mysterious person who, for 3 years after Claudia vanished, would place a wreath with white feathers on Claudia's front door every Christmas Eve. But when the Lawrence family asked the person to stop, the wreath stopped appearing. The person responsible has never been traced. After years of finding no answers, it was announced in 2013 that the North Yorkshire Police's Major Crime Unit would be reviewing Claudia's case. Detective Superintendent Di Malin was now in charge of the case, and when the review got underway, new evidence came to light. Investigators determined that Claudia's mobile phone was deliberately turned off at 12:10, the day after she went missing. More analysis of her mobile, particularly cell site activity, showed that Claudia had spent time in the Ackham area of York in the weeks running up to her disappearance. Techniques not available in 2009 helped to reveal fingerprints in Claudia's home. They have yet to be identified. Claudia's GHD hair straighteners were missing from her house. 10 days after she vanished, a man told staff at a co-op shop that he either knew Claudia or used to work with her. And a man's DNA was discovered on an Embassy Regal cigarette end found in Claudia's car. Then, on the 13th of May 2014, a 59-year-old former colleague of Claudia's was arrested on suspicion of murdering her. His home in the Haworth area of York was searched, as well as a house believed to belong to the man's mother in North Shields, Tyneside. His car was also seized. 2 years earlier, the authorities visited the man's York home and dug in his garden, but he wasn't arrested at the time. The suspect liked to spend time in the pub Claudia frequented, the NAGS Head. The suspect had once been seen embracing with Claudia in that pub. The man was released by police the next day. This isn't the only arrest the police have made. 4 men in their 50s were arrested in March and April 2015. However, prosecutors refused to charge the men, citing insufficient evidence. Infuriated, Detective Superintendent Malin spoke out, saying that those close to Claudia were keeping information from the authorities, and that his investigation of 2.5 years was being, quote, compromised by the reluctance of some and refusal of others to cooperate with police enquiries, end quote. A total of 9 people have been arrested or interviewed under caution, but it seems that Claudia's case is growing cold once more. Joan Lawrence believes her daughter may have been abducted. Some have wondered if convicted double murderer Christopher Halliwell is responsible for Claudia's disappearance. The police believe that Halliwell, who is from Swindon, has other victims, but there is no evidence linking him to Claudia. By the start of 2017, £1 million had been spent, 600 police officers have worked on the case, and 2,500 statements have been collected. But the review of Claudia's case ended this year, and while the case has not been closed, the investigation is being scaled back. Detective Superintendent Malin said, "I acknowledge how sad Claudia's parents and sister feel that we have not been able to give them the answers they want, and everyone in the team shares their frustration. We have worked tirelessly for 3 years, and we are sorry that we have not been able to prove what happened to Claudia or to find her. It remains the case that people close to Claudia have not always been entirely truthful with us and have withheld information, and this has made our task extremely difficult. The review team will now be reduced in line with the reduced demand, but the investigation will always remain open and regularly reviewed until Claudia is found and those responsible for her disappearance and murder are brought to justice. Claudia's parents continue to make sure that their daughter remains in the public eye and to help others with missing loved ones. Joan Lawrence opened up Claudia's home to cameras early in 2017. Peter Lawrence has supported the creation of the guardianship bill. The law, which applies in England and Wales, allows someone with an interest in the property of a missing person to be named as a guardian by a court after they have been missing for 90 days. The bill has passed its parliamentary stages and will be put forward for royal assent. The bill was created in memory of Claudia and will also be known as Claudia's Law.